Hello everyone, warm welcome to Super Coaching Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. My name is Madhav Sir. I welcome you all in the next session of Finance Current Affairs, where we are going to cover Finance Current Affairs from 30th to 31st of March. I would say that this is the last session for the current financial year क्योंकि आज 31st March तक की जो न्यूज़ है that will be completed and from the next session we will be starting up with the new financial year. तो obviously if we are talking about finance current affairs तो हमारा जो year होगा that should be considered with the help of or with the accordance to the financial year itself. So चलिए बिना किसी देरी के आज के सेशन की शुरुआत करते हैं, लेकिन उससे पहले अगर आप चाहते हैं इस सेशन की पीडीएफ को डाउनलोड करना तो इस सेशन की पीडीएफ आपको इस टेलीग्राम चैनल पर मिल जाएगी विच इज इकोनॉमिक्स बाय माधव अरोड़ा. माय हैंडल इज @माधव अरोड़ा. जैसे ही आप इस हैंडल पे या इस हैंडल को टाइप करेंगे, इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट यू कैन कनेक्ट विद मी एंड आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग, आई विल बी टेकिंग अप ऑल योर डाउट्स स्पेसिफिकली रिलेटेड टू योर रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज प्रिपरेशन. तो चलिए एक बार जल्दी से मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बता दीजिएगा ऑडियो वीडियो सही है, एवरीथिंग इज फाइन, so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. Just give me yes sir in the comment section that everything is fine. We are good to go. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, thank you Akash. Chalo, let's begin the discussion. So here we go with the first news of the day, and the first news obviously will start with a question, and the first question is now on your screen. The question says Reserve Bank of India has released figures indicating an increase in India's external debt. An increase in India's external debt. What is the reported total amount of India's external debt? So recently Reserve Bank of India has released the figures related to the India's external debt. So according to that, what is the value of external debt on India? So before I start the discussion, before I find out the answer to this particular question, I would start my discussion in this manner. That's a first question which we need to answer over here is कि सर ये जो question में लिखा है external debt, इसका मतलब क्या है? Whenever we use this word external debt, तो external debt का मतलब क्या? External debt का मतलब है कि जब हम पैसा उधार लें, when you borrow the funds from outside India, when you are borrowing the funds outside your nation, that amount which you are borrowing outside the nation is known as debt. कौन सा debt? External debt. अब the question over here is, so who all are the borrowers? The borrower can be directly government. Even borrower can be government departments, government organizations. Not only this, borrowers can be the private players as well or the private organization as well. Even the individuals. So remember that external debt का मतलब जो पैसा इंडिया ने उधार लिया इंडिया के बाहर से, उसे हम क्या नाम देंगे सर? वी विल कॉल इट एज एक्सटर्नल डेट. और ये जो एक्सटर्नल डेट है ये किसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कहा जाएगा सर? एक्सटर्नल डेट मींस एक्सटर्नल डेट वेदर इट इज बोरोड बाय गवर्नमेंट, वेदर इट इज बोरोड बाय गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट, गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एज वेल एज द इंडिविजुअल. अब यहां पे एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट आता है और वो इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट हमारे सामने है क्या कि सर जब भी कभी हम एक्सटर्नल डेट की बात करते हैं, गवर्नमेंट जो है वो एक्सटर्नल डेट कैसे बोरो करती है. तो आज की इस सेशन में वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग इन मच डिटेल about the borrowings which are done by government, especially related to the external debt. So let's read out all about this. So external debt refers to the amount that country owes to the foreign creditors. तो जो भी पैसा इंडिया ने ओ किया, जो इंडिया को पैसा इंडिया ने बोरो किया है from the external creditors, from the foreign creditors, that is known as external debt. It includes both public debt as well as प्राइवेट डेट. तो इसमें पब्लिक डेट भी इंक्लूडेड है और प्राइवेट डेट भी इंक्लूडेड है, विच मींस इट इंक्लूड द बोरोइंग्स डन बाय गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स एज वेल एज द बोरोइंग्स डन बाय कंपनीज, फर्म्स एज वेल एज इंडिविजुअल्स. अब ये जो पैसा आपने लोन पे लिया वो हो सकता है डायरेक्ट लोन हो या फिर द funds have been raised against the bonds. Against the bonds means government has issued sovereign bonds, and those sovereign bonds are purchased by the investors from all around the globe, and those investments which are done all around the globe, they will be termed as what? They will be termed as external debt on the government, and that debt has been raised with the help of the bonds. Moving on to the next point. The next point talks about the current discussion. The current discussion talks about, so there has been total increase in the external debt value. If you see the total external debt on India as of December 2024 कितना था? So that was $707.9 billion. तो अगर हमसे कोई पूछेगा कि आज what is the current value of external debt? So the current value of external debt on India is $717.9 billion. अगर मैं annual increase की बात करूं, if I compare that same with December 2023, तो December 2023 के comparison में ये जो external debt है, it has increased by almost 10.7%, या फिर मैं मोटा मोटा कहूं तो it has increased by almost $70 billion. अगर मैं मोटा मोटा कहूं, it has increased around 65 to 66 billion dollars. अगर हम क्वार्टर बेसिस पे बात करें, सो ऑन क्वार्टर टू क्वार्टर बेसिस, क्वार्टर ऑन क्वार्टर बेसिस पे ये जो इंक्रीज है, इट इज जस्ट 0.7%. इट इज जस्ट 0.7%. तो अगर हमसे कोई पूछेगा व्हाट was the external debt of India in September 2024, so it was $712.7 billion. $712.7 billion. अब क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि सर ये जो एक्सटर्नल डेट है, अगर हम इसका ट्रेंड चेक करें तो हाउ इज द ट्रेंड ऑफ इंडियाज एक्सटर्नल डेट? इफ यू check out the trend of India's external debt in 2010, this external debt was $290 billion. Then it increased drastically in a decade, or I would say in 9 to 10 years, to $561 billion. with 2020 में 564, 2021 में ये increase हुआ obviously because of COVID-19. Then in 2022 it was 615, and if I say in 2023 it is $646 billion. लेकिन अब $646 billion से भी बढ़कर ये वैल्यू कितनी हो गई है? So the value is $717.9 billion. अब क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि सर what are the reasons behind increase in external debt? कि भैया external debt increase क्यों होता है? सर ये आपको नहीं लगता कि थोड़ा सा illogical सा क्वेश्चन है? क्योंकि नाम से क्लियर हो रहा है एक्सटर्नल डेट कब इंक्रीज होगी? सर जब आप बोरो ज्यादा करेंगे. ऑब्वियसली आई एम ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हेन यू विल बोरो मोर. व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड कि आपकी बोरोइंग्स कब इंक्रीज होगी? Your borrowings will increase because of two major reasons. The first major reason is obviously when the borrowing not only of the government but borrowing of the non-government entities increase. तो इंडिया में इस बार एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट जो फैक्टर है वो ये देखा गया है कि गवर्नमेंट की बोरोइंग्स इंक्रीज नहीं हुई सर. एक्सटर्नल डेट में वी इंक्लूड ऑल द बोरोइंग्स, एंड एक्सटर्नल डेट में अगर हम देखें तो मेजर जो इंक्रीज हुआ है दैट is in the non-government borrowings, which has led to the overall increase in the external debt. Second point is sir currency exchange rate movement. सर ये currency exchange rate movement का मतलब क्या? currency exchange rate movement का मतलब है, we all know that डॉलर, अगर हम बात करें यूएस डॉलर्स की, तो यूएस डॉलर हैज विटनेस अ ग्रेट स्ट्रेंथ इन द पास्ट. यूएस डॉलर को काफी ज्यादा स्ट्रेंथ मिली इन द पास्ट. स्पेशली आई वुड से यूएस डॉलर has appreciated a lot with respect to Indian currency. Not only Indian currency, US dollar has appreciated with respect to the other foreign currencies as well. For example, ध्यान से देखना, इंडिया ने 100 यूरो का लोन लिया from European Union. India has borrowed a loan from European Union of value 100 euros. And when this borrowing was done, at that particular moment, 1 euro was equals to 1 US dollar. 1 euro was equals to 1 US dollar. अब over the period of time, the same dollar has appreciated with respect to euro. और जैसे वो appreciate हुआ, it is now equals to 1.5 euros. तो अगर इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में मैं देखूं, पहले इंडिया का जो बोरोइंग था इन टर्म्स ऑफ डॉलर वाज $100. नाउ द सेम वैल्यू, द सेम अमाउंट ऑफ बोरोइंग, the same amount of borrowing has changed. The same amount of borrowing has changed because of the depreciation or appreciation of dollars. तो जब भी कभी आपका exchange rate change होगा, due to the change in exchange rate, your debt value will also change. और अगर हम इस बार बात करें the valuation effect, जो इस बार का valuation effect है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ कितना है, that is $12.7 billion. यानी कि व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से, आई एम ट्राइंग टू से कि ये जो 648 बिलियन डॉलर से आपका जो लोन या एक्सटर्नल डेट वैल्यू इंक्रीज होकर 717 हुआ है, इसमें 12 पॉइंट समथिंग, व्हाट वाज दैट रेट, $12.7 billion इज जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द वैल्यूएशन. इट इज जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द वैल्यूएशन वाला पार्ट, यानी कि यूएस डॉलर के मुकाबले बाकी करेंसीज की वैल्यू चेंज हुई, जिसकी वजह से ओवरऑल जो वैल्यू ऑफ लोन है और द वैल्यू ऑफ एक्सटर्नल डेट ऑन इंडिया हैज चेंज. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट. द नेक्स्ट एस्पेक्ट टॉक्स अबाउट कि गवर्नमेंट का कितना शेयर है आउट ऑफ द टोटल एक्सटर्नल डेट. इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द टोटल एक्सटर्नल डेट, गवर्नमेंट शेयर इज 22.1%. Government share is 22.1%. And if I talk about deposit taking corporations, that means financial institutes, especially banks which borrow, which accept deposits, it's 27.8. Non-financial corporations 36.5 and other financial corporations it is 8.7%. तो अगर हम यहां से ध्यान से देखें तो deposit taking and other financial corporations, what is the total value? That is 27.8 plus 8.7. If I add it, 27 में 8 जोड़ूं तो कितना होगा, 35 में 1.5 जोड़ूं तो 36.5%. यानी ओवरऑल जो आपकी एक्सटर्नल डेट है, उस एक्सटर्नल डेट का 36.5% जो लोन है, that has been borrowed by which organization or which sector? Then the answer to this particular question is financial sector. Then the answer to this particular question is the external sector. No, Shivani, there is no threshold as such which is predefined on international level. But yes, recently, when we discuss about FRBM, which was introduced in 2003, then after COVID, the norms under FRBM was revised, and as per the latest update, there has been a projection, and the projection has been said that government's total debt, that talks about government total debt. So government's total debt to GDP ratio or total debt to GDP should be less than or equals to 60%. I'm talking about the total debt on central government as well as state government. तो ये टारगेट तो है कि आपकी जो टोटल डेट है कोशिश करो 60% से कम हो फॉर द एंटायर कंट्री, सेंटर एज वेल एज स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. बट इफ यू से एक्सटर्नल डेट का कोई एक पर्टिकुलर लिमिट है, दैट इज नॉट डिफाइंड. देयर इज नो एज सच लिमिट व्हिच इज डिफाइंड. इज इट क्लियर शिवानी? ओके परमेश्वर, आई थिंक आपने कुछ पूछा था. आई कैन नॉट सी योर डाउट नाउ. चलिए, अभिनव इज सेइंग सर एज इट इज डेट बेस्ड इकोनॉमी, सो कैन वी से दैट external debt will keep on increasing in the long run? Yes, undoubtedly external debt is keep on increasing over the long period, but it's fine. अगर long period में आपका external debt increase हो रहा है, that is nothing to worry. Why there is nothing to worry? I'll show you the data. Please give a look on this data. If I say India is one of the emerging economies, and on the other side if I talk about China is going to be the world's largest economy very soon. So in that context, China का जो current total external debt है, that is $2.5 trillion. जहां पे अगर मैं उस समय में, जिस समय में ये चार्ट था, उस समय में इंडिया का एक्सटर्नल डेट was $646 billion. तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि अगर आपकी इकोनॉमी के ऊपर external debt ज़्यादा है, that means your economy is not doing well. That is not the case. The point is, if you are in a position to service this data appropriately, then it's fine. Otherwise it's a question. I would say it's a point to be discussed. It's a point to be, you should be worried of. ठीक है जी, तो ये आप याद रखना. financial institutions, external debt, highest share 36.5%. Moving to the next point. The next point says, so what is the source of external debt? If I talk about the highest source, so the highest source is 51%. So India is borrowing 51% from the private investors. Now these private investors, they are investing against bonds. So they are the bond holders. They are purchasing the bonds issued by government as well as the corporates. So with the help of these bonds, they have lended loan. They have lended loan to the Indian entities, as well as we have the other commercials. But the question is, after private, which is on the second rank? So on the second rank, we have multilateral organization. Give me the example of multilateral organizations. And I'm talking about World Bank. In the examples, obviously, I'm talking about World Bank, I'm talking about Asian Development Bank and whatnot. So the share of private lenders is 51%, and the multilateral organization, their share in India's total external debt, is how much? So that is 33%. तो आपको 51% भी याद रखना है. You need to remember 33% as well. You need to remember the 33% as well. And secondly, you remember bilateral. In case of bilateral, we have Japan, that is 11%. Bilateral में जो highest borrowing है, that is Japan, that is 11%. Thanks to bullet train. Bullet train की वजह से we are borrowing a lot from Japan, and that amount is being utilized in order to develop the bullet train project in India. But yes, this made Japan the largest lender to India out of the bilateral agreements which have been done with different nations. Is it clear to this point? Moving on to the next point. So the next point says, if I talk about the external debt, in case of external debt, what is the currency distribution? What is the currency distribution in which the borrowing has been done? So as always, that is absolutely true. Highest borrowing, that means out of the total external debt, we have a external debt of 54.8% in the form of US dollars. Second is in the form of Indian rupees. Sir, ye kya mazak hai? So what you are talking about? You are discussing external debt, and in case of external debt, you are saying Indian rupees. Indian rupees means Indian currency. If I'm borrowing in Indian currency, that means it should be termed as internal debt. That should be the borrowing done within the India. No, sir, that is not the case. What I'm trying to say, for example, if you remember, India and Japan, they signed the bilateral swap agreements, currency swap agreements. In those swap agreements, Japan holds INR as well. So India has borrowed INR. From the foreign nations. Which have been reached to these foreign nations under the currency swap agreements. Then the next one, we have 6.1% Japanese yen. Then this is special drawing rights, the virtual currency of IMF, that is 4.7%, and in euro we have 3%. And that was the reason जब मैंने कहा था कि yes, you know, US dollar is appreciating, and US dollar is appreciating with respect to euro, with respect to yen, even with respect to Indian rupees. And if US dollar is appreciating with respect to Indian rupees, then it's quite obvious the overall external debt value will be affected due to the change in foreign currency exchange. अब आप सोच रहे होंगे वो कैसे? So let's suppose इंडिया की जो टोटल borrowing है, let's say it is $100 over here, and this is, let's say, 80 rupees. Obviously ये 80 rupees में borrowing तो है, but we'll not write 80, we will write it as $1 because $1 is equals to 80 rupees. So end of the day, whatsoever borrowing you have done and whatsoever currency you have done, you will be converting it into dollar in order to obtain the overall debt value. And the same context I'm talking over here. The same thing I'm talking over here. Earlier 80 rupees was equals to $1. Earlier 80 rupees was equals to $1, but now the currency appreciate, the foreign currency exchange rate changes, which has led to the change in overall value, of the external debt, and $12.7 billion out of almost $66 billion external debt increase is just because of currency exchange rates. Is it clear, everyone? If it is clear, just give me yes sir, so that I can move ahead. Moving on to the next point. Now the next point is, so whenever we talk about this external debt, the way I answered a question that threshold limit is not as such defined, but yes, as per the latest FRBM committee, it has been decided that it should be 60%, but 60% is total for center as well as state government. Now if you ask me, the GDP, that means external debt to GDP ratio, is 19.1% in December 2024, which was 19% in September 2024. If you check this very closely, then I would say this was $712.7 billion और $700.7 billion से ये increase होके कितना हो गया $717.9 billion. So there has been an increase of almost $5 billion, but in terms of percentage, there has been an increase of just 0.1%. There has been an increase of just 0.1%. Is it clear? समझ आया? आगे देखना. अगला point क्या कहता? The next point says debt service ratio. What is this debt service ratio? Any idea, guys? What is this debt service ratio? Any idea? Debt service ratio basically means debt service stands for interest rate. Debt service stands for the interest which you need to pay, as well as the principal which you are supposed to pay in a given year, So now debt service ratio basically means interest payment which India is liable to pay in the current financial year, plus principal which India is liable to repay in the current financial year, divided by India's foreign earnings into 100. So this is basically known as debt service ratio. And as you can see, debt service ratio is what? Sir, debt service ratio is 6.6%, which means debt service ratio is 6.6%, which means that in order to pay the interest as well as principal value, we are utilizing our 6.6% of foreign earnings. We are utilizing our 6.6% of foreign earnings, which was earlier 6.7%. Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear? If it is clear till this point, just give me yes, sir. If it is clear till this point, just give me yes, sir. Just give me yes, sir. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir, so that I can move ahead. So this measures how much foreign income is used to repay debt. So 6.6% foreign income is used to repay the debt, or 6.6% of current receipts. So our debt service ratio is 6.6% of current receipt. Is it clear? Okay. Chalo, moving on to the next point. The next point is again really very important. So what is the interest flow? If you are borrowing a lot, then you are liable to pay interest a lot. So in 2010, India was paying an interest of around $4.6 billion. In 2023, India has paid an interest of $22.5 billion, and this is the interest payment which has been done against the external debt alone. This is the interest payment which has been done against the external debt alone, and this is the list of few countries. I would say those countries which generally remain in news along with India. So I have taken them in the list, especially Brazil, India, China, South Africa. So I was focusing on the BRICS nation. I left Russia, but I have included other all. And just to make you understand that China has an external debt of $2.7 trillion. India has it of around $646 billion when the comparison was done. And if I talk about the interest payment, India's interest payment is $22.5 billion and so on. If it is clear, just give me yes sir, so that we can move on to the next news. Chalo, let's check out your doubts. Sir, the change of 12.7 will be calculated by the change in all these respective, yes, all these respective currencies, not just dollar. DSR would have lower effect on the exchange rate change due to the interest rate swap that the firms must have done, that the firms, if they have done. Firms, if they have done, then it's fine. If they haven't done, then obviously it will have a great impact. Chalo, now let's read out the question. Reserve Bank of India has released figures indicating an increase in India's external debt. What is the reported total amount of India's external debt? So India's external debt as of December 2024 is $7.7 billion. As of September 2024, it was $712.7 billion. And if I talk about December 2023, the same data for December 2023 was $648 billion. So remember these three datas, they are important. At least these two are really very important, where you have an year-on-year comparison. Is it clear, guys? Ready? Shall I move on to the next news? Are you ready? Shall I move on to the next news? Next news is again really very interesting. And if you're ready to go, just give me yes, sir. If you haven't liked the session yet, I would request you quickly hit the like button so that we can move on to the next news. Let's move on to the next news, guys. The next news is now on your screen. First, we'll discuss the question, then we'll discuss the news, and then we'll come back and answer the question again. So this is something which is in news and you all are very much aware of this particular news. So the question says, Reserve Bank of India has announced a revision to the changes associated with ATM withdrawals impacting the customers nationwide. This entire RBI norm will be implemented from 1st of May 2025. A new fee structure will be implemented for transaction exceeding the established monthly free withdrawal limits. Consider this change. What will be the cost incurred by customer for each withdrawal that surpasses their allotted free transaction? What will be the answer? Chalo. Before you give me the answer, I would like to move ahead and I would like to discuss this particular notification. So this is the notification which has been presented. Let's decode this one by one. So from 1st of May 2025, customers will have to pay 23 rupees per transaction at ATM beyond the mandatory free transactions provided by the bank. अब सर ये पूरी की पूरी न्यूज़ है क्या? So please pay attention. Please pay attention. I'm pretty sure that you are going to enjoy the discussion. If I talk about a bank customer, let's say there is a bank named SBI and there is a customer, Madhav. He is holding a savings account in SBI. He is holding a savings account in SBI. If he is holding a savings account in SBI, that means he must be given with a debit card. He must be given with a debit card in order to withdraw the funds, in order to make the payments. Now, if Madhav wants to withdraw the funds, Madhav will approach to the ATM. We have different types of ATM: blue label, brown label, white label ATM. Let's say this is a blue label ATM which is owned and set up by SBI. The moment Madhav reached over here, he used his debit card either to withdraw cash. If I'm withdrawing a cash, or maybe I am depositing a cash, this is known as financial transaction. And if I'm just checking out my account balance, or I'm checking out the mini statement, or I'm changing my PIN or anything like that, that will be termed as non-financial. Transaction. Fine, guys. Secondly, in a similar manner, I can approach to an ATM, which is again a blue label ATM, but this ATM has been set up by ICICI. That means this ATM is owned by ICICI. Have you ever given a thought? हैव यू एवर गिवन अ थॉट कि आपका अकाउंट तो एसबीआई में है, लेकिन यू आर अलाउड, यू आर कैपेबल टू विड्रॉ द फंड्स from the ATM which has been installed by ICICI. How is it possible? That means ICICI Bank can access your account. That means your account is not safe. Is that a case? No, sir, that is not the case. The case is ATMs, they are connected to a point which we call it as NFS. We call it as National Financial Switch. All the ATMs of all the banks, even the white label ATMs which are set up by the private companies which are not a bank, their ATMs are also connected to NFS. Once your ATM is connected to NFS, and if Madhav will approach to this ATM with an SBI debit card, and the moment I'll insert my debit card in this ATM, the information will flow. The information will flow to NFS. NFS has access to the SBI server. NFS will connect to the SBI server, check out my account balance. If there is account balance, then NFS will ask SBI to make the debit, and once the debit is done, acknowledgement will be sent. The moment acknowledgement reaches to ICICI ATM, cash withdrawal will be done. Cash withdrawal will be done. Got it? Is it clear? So this is the role of NFS in the ATM transaction. Now here you need to understand one point. This transaction which I have done in yellow color, this is intra-bank. This is intra-bank ATM transaction. This is intra-bank ATM transaction, and this is interbank. This is interbank ATM transaction. If I talk about the past, in the past there was a situation when intra-bank transactions were allowed. N number of intra-bank transactions were allowed, and that too free of cost. Were allowed, and that too free of cost. But now the things have changed. Now, in general, I would use a word in general, which can be different for your bank. Then don't question me, don't challenge me. In general, intra-bank transaction, which is a financial transaction, and interbank transaction, which is financial as well as non-financial transactions, they are free of cost. 5 transactions per month, non-metro cities, and 3 transactions per month, metro cities. 3 transactions per month, metro city. Is it fine? Now, once you have utilized your transactions, your free transactions have been utilized, in that particular case, it is possible in case of intra-bank, and it is for sure going to be witnessed in case of intra-bank transaction, that if you have went beyond this limit, if you have crossed this limit, then ATM service transaction charge will be charged, and this ATM transaction charge will be charged not only on interbank, it can also be applicable, or it is also applicable on intrabank transaction as well. So what is going to be the charge which you have to pay? So per transaction now is going to be up to 23 rupees. So this is up to, your banks will decide independently, plus taxes. So basic charge is up to 23 rupees plus taxes, which was earlier 21. Now the question is why this change has been done, why this revision has been done. So this revision has been done in order to promote cashless economy, digital payments. So banks, they don't want the customers to utilize cash, or they don't want that customers should run behind cash. That is the reason due to which they have increased this charge value. Even there is one more reason. The one more reason is Indian economy is going cashless, and if you are going cashless, just talk to yourself, when did you visited the ATM last? I don't remember when I visited the ATM last. Earlier I used to visit ATM at least thrice or 4 times in a month, but now I don't even remember when I approached to ATM last. So in that particular case, number of transaction on ATM has decreased. If the number of transaction on ATM has decreased, but the cost, rent, the salary of the security guard, the bill of AC which is running, they all are same. So number of transaction has decreased, but the cost is still the same. So it's quite obvious per transaction cost will increase. अरे भाई, अगर एक महीने का cost था पहले 1000 रुपए, ट्रांजेक्शन थी 100, तो पर ट्रांजेक्शन कॉस्ट कितनी हो गई 10। अब 1000 रुपए तो एज इट इज है, वो तो चेंज हुआ नहीं, बट जो टोटल नंबर ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन है दे हैव ड्रॉप डाउन टू 50, तो पर ट्रांजेक्शन जो कॉस्ट है इट इज नाउ इंक्रीज्ड, एंड ड्यू टू दिस इंक्रीज्ड वैल्यू, there was a requirement that these transaction values are need to be increased. I hope समझ आया होगा. Take the screenshot. No one is going to explain this again. This is the first and the last time you are understanding the role of NFS in the play of ATMs. चलो, moving on to the next point. Now let's discuss this news. अब मुझे उम्मीद है word by word समझ आ जाएगा. So from 1st May, customer will pay 23 rupees transaction at ATM beyond the mandatory free transactions provided by their bank. Now the question is, so free transaction provided by the bank this means that if you are going to, let's say again Madhav has an account with SBI, and Madhav can go to SBI ATM as well as can go to ICICI ATM. So if I have approached to this ICICI ATM or SBI ATM up to 5 times in a month, if I'm not living in a metro city, so in that particular case, no charge will be charged. But there is a problem. What is the problem? The problem is ICICI is giving me the service, and against the service which is provided to me by ICICI is going to face expenditure of what? Sir, expenditure of rent, expenditure of salary, expenditure of electricity bill, expenditure of loading and deloading the ATM machine. So that expenditure which ICICI is bearing to run this ATM will not be bared for a customer who is not belonging to ICICI Bank. In that particular case, ICICI Bank will ask SBI to pay the charges, and these type of charges are known as what? These type of charges are basically known as what? They are termed as what? So these type of charges are known as ATM interchange fees. This is known as what? So this is known as ATM interchange fees. Now let me explain you. So currently banks, they charge up to 21 rupees per transaction since 1st January 2022 for exceeding the free limit, but from 1st of May 2025 they are allowed to charge up to 23 rupees plus GST. Customers are eligible for free transaction inclusive of financial transactions as well as non-financial transaction from their own bank ATM as well as from the other bank ATMs. But what is the count? So this is 5 free transactions. This is 5 free transaction in general. I'm using a word in general, and please contact your bank in order to understand whether it is 5 free transaction per month which include only financial, and non-financial are allowed unlimited in case of SBI, in case of HDFC. So contact your bank. 3 transaction per month at ATM of other banks in metro city, and 5 free transactions per month at ATM of other bank in known metro areas. But अगर आप अपने ही बैंक के पास जा रहे हैं तो जनरली जो मैंने पढ़ा, जो मैंने रिसर्च किया, उसमें मुझे ये समझ आया कि जनरली जो आपके अपने बैंक का एटीएम है, वहां पर फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजेक्शंस काउंट की जाती है, दैट इज 5 के बाद चार्ज होगा, और नॉन फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजेक्शन अकाउंट बैलेंस, पिन चेंज, वो काउंट नहीं होता. एग्जांपल एसबीआई, एचडीएफसी. लेकिन हो सकता है आपका बैंक नॉन फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजेक्शन को भी काउंट करे, इसलिए आई हैव मेंशन दिस पॉइंट वेरी क्लियरली. कॉन्टैक्ट योर बैंक इन दिस केस. मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट. Once the customer exceeds, they will be paying the limit. As of February 2025, there are 258,000 ATMs. That means 258,000 ATMs in the country, and cash recycler. What is this cash recycler? Sir, ऐसी मशीन जो आपको कैश डिपॉजिट की फैसिलिटी भी दे और कैश विड्रॉल की भी. So these charges which I am talking about, it is same for cash deposit as well as cash withdrawal machines, चाहे फिर वो ATM मशीन है सिर्फ या वो कैश रिसाइकलर मशीन है, इट इज अलाउड. इससे पहले अगर हम मार्च में बात करें तो मार्च में जो इंटरचेंज फीस है, ये देखो, ये वाली, ये जो इंटरचेंज फीस है, दिस वाज अर्लियर 17 रुपीज फॉर फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजेक्शन. इसे भी इंक्रीज कर दिया, कितना कर दिया 19। नॉन फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन को बढ़ाकर कितना कर दिया 6 से 7 रुपए। मतलब जो बैंक टू बैंक चार्जेस चार्ज हो रहे हैं, जो बैंक टू बैंक फीस चार्ज हो रही है, उसे भी इंक्रीज किया गया फ्रॉम 17 टू 19 एंड फ्रॉम 6 टू 7 रुपीज। यहां पे एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, वो सुनना जरा। आरबीआई हैज कम्युनिकेटेड कि जो ये एटीएम इंटरचेंज फीस है दैट विल बी डिसाइडेड बाय एटीएम नेटवर्क। आरबीआई ने कह दिया कि भैया ये जो आपकी एटीएम इंटरचेंज फीस है ना, आई विल नॉट बी द पार्ट ऑफ इट, ATM network will decide it, and ATM network is based on National Financial Switch, and National Financial Switch is product, it is managed by NPCI. So basically NPCI has revised the interchange fees charged in NFS network for Pan India by 2 rupees, जिसे 17 से बढ़ाकर 19 कर दिया और 6 से बढ़ाकर कितना कर दिया 7 रुपए। This is important. This is also going to be applicable from 1st of May 2025. लेकिन ये जो रिवाइज्ड इंटरचेंज फीस है ना, ये जो रिवाइज्ड फीस है, दिस विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल ऑन माइक्रो एटीएम, दिस विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल ऑन इंटर ऑपरेटेबल कैश डिपॉजिट एंड इंटरनेशनल एटीएम ट्रांजैक्शंस। तो याद रखना इन सारे केसेस में दिस इंक्रीज वैल्यू इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी एप्लीकेबल। चलो, नाउ लेट्स गो बैक एंड फाइंड आउट द आंसर फॉर द क्वेश्चन। Reserve Bank of India has announced a revision to the charges associated with ATM withdrawal. So now it has been increased to 23. Earlier it was 21. Interchange charges were earlier 17. Now they have increased to 19 for financial transaction, and for non-financial transaction they have increased it from 6 to 7. समझ आ गई बात। इंटरचेंज क्या होता है, इंटर बैंक एटीएम ट्रांजैक्शंस क्या है, इंट्रा बैंक एटीएम ट्रांजैक्शंस क्या है, व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ एनएफएस। आई गेस ईच एंड एवरी पॉइंट इज क्लियर to all. If it is clear, just give me yes sir so that I can move ahead. Moving on to the next news. The next news is again important. As per the latest data which was published by RBI on 28th of March 2025 on India's international investment position for the quarter ending December 2024, which of the following statement is correct? तो इस statement को पढ़ेंगे, इन statements को judge करेंगे. Let's first read out the news. So what is the news all about? So recently RBI ने बताया है क्या? Sir, RBI has released the international investment position. What is this international investment position? देखो सर, international investment position का मतलब क्या है? International investment position का मतलब है when we talk about India, we know this very well that Indians, they are investing outside the country. Indians, they are investing outside the country. So if India is investing outside the country, that will be what? So that will be foreign asset. This is the investment done by Indian. This is known as foreign asset owned by Indian. Say yes or no. Foreign asset owned by Indian. Similarly, if a foreigner is investing in India, then I would say Indian asset owned by a foreigner. Then I would say what? I would say Indian asset owned by foreigner. So in this context, we explain the term that is international investment position. So assets, they are divided into investment done. So if foreigner has invested in India and purchased a land in India, that will be Indian asset owned by foreigner. Similarly, Infosys has purchased an office in Germany. So that land belongs to Infosys, so that is foreign asset owned by Indian. Secondly, portfolio investment, that is the foreigner investing in Indian share market, Indian investing in foreign share market, and other investments as well as reserve assets, they are known as what? So they are known as nations assets. तो assets में क्या आएगा? asset का मतलब आपकी संपत्ति में क्या आया? direct investment, portfolio investment, reserve assets as well as रिजर्व एसेट्स में जो आपके पास फॉरेक्स रिजर्व्स है, फॉरेन करेंसी है, गोल्ड है, एज वेल एज द राइट्स यू हैव with IMF that you can take the loan, you can withdraw the funds whenever required, that is special drawing rights, it's also your asset. A point आया liabilities. सर liabilities में जो इन्वेस्टमेंट, लाइबिलिटी क्या होगी सर? जो इन्वेस्टमेंट फॉरेनर ने इंडिया में की, जो पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टमेंट विच हैज बीन डन बाय फॉरेनर इन इंडिया, portfolio investment done by foreigner in India, direct investment done by foreigner in India, and other investments done by foreigner in India, they all are the liabilities. तो ये जो Indian asset which is owned by foreigner is our liability. The foreign asset which is owned by Indian, this is our asset. This is our asset. अब आता है point net international investment position. अगर net international investment position की बात करें, that is net value or net investment and India, or I would say the Indians are holding outside the world. Net means पहले आप asset में से क्या हटा दो, अपनी liabilities को हटा दो. तो देखना जरा, as per international investment position, net claim, ध्यान से देखो, net claim of non-resident in India increased by $11 billion to $364.5 billion during the third quarter of financial year 2024-25. इसका मतलब ये हुआ, Indian asset owned by foreigner is greater than foreign asset. It is greater than foreign asset owned by Indian. Foreign asset owned by Indian. और अगर मैं निकालूं, so what is this difference? So this is $364.5 billion. ये जो difference है, this difference is $364.5 billion. और अगर मैं कहूं latest October, November, December of financial year what? Which financial year I'm talking about? So 2024-25. तो फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2024-25 का जो ये क्वार्टर था, अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दिसंबर, उसमें ये जो डिफरेंस है, इट हैज इंक्रीज्ड बाय $11 billion. इट हैज इंक्रीज्ड बाय $11 billion. ये है नेट वैल्यू. नेट वैल्यू समझ आ रही है? नेट वैल्यू का मतलब क्या? जितना इंडियन एसेट्स है, इंडियन एसेट ओन्ड बाय फॉरेनर्स, इंडियन एसेट्स ओन्ड बाय फॉरेनर्स, यानी कि वो संपत्ति जो इंडिया में है, यानी कि वो बिलोंगिंग्स, लैंड, शेयर होल्डर, शेयर्स, इक्विटी, वॉट एवर इट इज, इंडियन असेट ओन्ड बाय फॉरेनर्स, दैट इज मोर देन फॉरेन असेट ओन्ड बाय इंडियंस. और ये ज्यादा है. अगर मैं इसको माइनस करूं तो ये है $364.5 billion का नेट क्लेम है. व्हाट इज नेट क्लेम? सर नेट क्लेम का मतलब है, इफ आई सब्ट्रैक्ट, नेट क्लेम का मतलब क्या हुआ सर? इफ आई सब्ट्रैक्ट the assets and liabilities, or I would say the assets owned by Indians, foreign assets owned by Indians and Indian assets owned by foreigners, इन दोनों का जो डिफरेंस है, that is $364.5 billion, which means कि जो foreigners है उनके पास इंडिया की एसेट इंडियंस की फॉरेन एसेट से $364.5 billion वैल्यू ज्यादा है, and this value has increased by $11 billion in the latest quarter. This value has increased by $11 billion in the recent quarter, in the latest quarter, that is October, November, December. So the foreign asset of Indian residents, has decreased by $40 billion, and the claim of non-resident in India decreased by $29.1 billion. तो इंडिया की जो फॉरेन एसेट है, that has decreased by $40 billion, and foreigners की जो इंडियन एसेट है, that has decreased by $29 billion, but still इंडिया की एसेट ज्यादा कम हुई in comparison to foreigners की एसेट in India, and this difference is around exactly $11 billion. तो ये जो डेटा है, it shows the reserve accounts, जो हमारा reserves है, that is the forex reserves and all. So the reserve accounts represent 59% of total international financial asset in December 2024. तो इंडिया की जो total international financial asset है, उसमें 59% is the reserves, which is with RBI, government, we call it as forex reserves. So the ratio of India's international asset, इंडिया की इंटरनेशनल एसेट, या मैं कहूं इंडियाज फॉरेन एसेट डिवाइडेड बाय फॉरेनर्स इंडियन एसेट, इसका जो वैल्यू है दैट वाज 73.1%. नाउ इट हैज इंक्रीज्ड नाउ इट हैज इंक्रीज टू 74.7%, विच मीन्स आपका जो इंडियन एसेट्स है या इंडिया की फॉरेन एसेट्स है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू फॉरेन की इंडियन एसेट्स, ये जो परसेंटेज है इट हैज इंक्रीज 74.7 which was earlier 73.1%. Last but not the least is share of debt liabilities in total external liabilities increased. तो अगर हम बात करें जो आपकी टोटल लाइबिलिटीज है उसमें से आपने जो पैसा उधार लिया है वो है 53.6%. जो पैसा आपने उधार लिया है दैट इज 53.6%. और इंडिया का जो करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट है that has also increased which accounts to around 1.1% of country's GDP. ये वाला डेटा बस आपको रेफरेंस के लिए दे दिया, डोंट रिमेंबर इट, क्योंकि एग्जैक्ट डेटा हम पढ़ेंगे जब पूरे फाइनेंशियल ईयर का आएगा एंड दैट विल बी मोर हेल्पफुल फॉर यू फॉर योर एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. बस ये रेफरेंस के लिए दिया है. अब आओ जरा क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. जब आप क्वेश्चन देखोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि ईच एंड एवरी डेटा जो हमने डिस्कस किया दैट इज रियली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट द करेक्ट स्टेटमेंट. India's net foreign liability decreased by $11 billion, reaching $353.5 billion. Is it correct? Is it correct? पहली स्टेटमेंट देखो, इंडिया का जो नेट फॉरेन क्लेम है या लाइबिलिटीज है या जो क्लेम है वो इंक्रीज हुआ है या डिक्रीज हुआ है. देखो $11 बिलियन इज द करेक्ट फिगर. $11 बिलियन जो है वो करेक्ट फिगर है. ध्यान से देखो, $11 बिलियन जो है दैट इज करेक्ट फिगर. बट पहली चीज जो नेट क्लेम है दे आर नॉट डिक्रीज्ड, दे हैव इंक्रीज्ड. दे हैव नॉट डिक्रीज्ड, दे हैव इंक्रीज्ड, ये गलत है. दूसरा, यहां पे जो टोटल नेट क्लेम है दैट इज $364.5 बिलियन आई गेस. जो टोटल क्लेम है दैट इज $364.5 बिलियन. तो ये भी गलत हो गया. इसका मतलब फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज इनकरेक्ट. फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट क्या हो गई? इनकरेक्ट. समझ आ रही है बातें? अरे भाई समझ आ रहा व्हाट आई एम सेइंग? आर यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? ठीक है, अगला स्टेटमेंट पढ़े. लेट्स रीड आउट द नेक्स्ट स्टेटमेंट. नेक्स्ट स्टेटमेंट क्या कहती है? इंडियाज फॉरेन असेट डिक्लाइंड बाय $40.1 बिलियन, ट्रू, while foreign liabilities decreased by $29.1 billion. ठीक है. अगली स्टेटमेंट, the ratio of India's international financial asset to liability decreased. नहीं सर, पहली बात तो ये जो रेशियो है, ये जो परसेंटेज है, ये इंडिया की इंक्रीज हुई है और ये इंक्रीज होकर कितनी हुई है? सो दैट इज 74.1%. अगर आपको याद हो तो आई जस्ट टोल्ड यू 74.7%. It has increased to 74.7%, which was earlier 73.1%. Reserve assets accounted for 50%. Reserve assets accounted for 50%. नहीं सर, reserve assets accounted for 59%. देखना जरा, reserve assets accounted for 59%. तो अगर reserve assets accounted for 59% तो ये भी गलत हो गया. India's net foreign liability increased by $15 बिलियन. नहीं सर, ये मैं आंसर दे चुका हूं. इट इज $11 बिलियन और ये वैल्यू कितनी है? दैट इज $364.5 बिलियन. तो इन सब में से जो करेक्ट स्टेटमेंट है दैट इज बी ऑप्शन की इंडियाज फॉरेन असेट हैज डिक्रीज बाय $40 बिलियन एंड foreign's Indian assets have decreased by $29 billion. So according to that, the correct statement for this particular question is correct. That is B option. Clear हो गया जी? चलो, let's move on to the last news, but we'll not talk much on this. Name the chairperson of Indian Bank Association for the upcoming financial year. For Indian Bank Association, जो appointment है chairman की plus 3 deputy chairmans की, it is done for a financial year. मतलब हर एक financial year के लिए appointment की जाती है. Recently, who has been appointed? I'll give you a hint. Sir, SBI के chairman को, SBI's chairman is appointed as the chairman of Indian Banks Association. यहाँ पे मैं आपको बताना क्या चाह रहा हूँ, why this news is important. I just wanted to discuss with you briefly what is Indian Bank Association. So Indian Bank Association is basically a representative body of the management of banking in India, or you can say it is basically the association of Indian banking sector, or I would say it's a platform where the banks they come together, not only government owned bank, even the private banks and the other banks, cooperative banks and foreign banks, they come together they come together along with asset reconstruction companies, even the credit rating companies, even the credit guarantee funds, and all they come together in order to discuss the issues which are prevailing in the sector, as well as if they want collectively to raise their voice in front of RBI or government in form of request or something like that. That can also be done with the help of this. So याद रखिएगा, its major objectives is basically to assist and provide common services to the banking industry, developing and implementing new ideas and innovation. It covers broad range of services in the banking industry. It also makes various recommendations to the government and RBI over various banking related matters which are need to be addressed. ठीक है जी. उसके अलावा it conducts, this is very important, it conducts wage negotiation with workers and officers union. IBA was formed basically to develop, coordinate and strengthen Indian banking and assist the member banks in various ways. ठीक है जी. तो एक बार आप पढ़ लेना, मैंने बस आपको पॉइंटर्स बता दिए जो इंपॉर्टेंट है. लास्ट में जो पार्ट यहाँ पे इंपॉर्टेंट है, दैट इज this organization was formed on 26th of September 1946 with an initial membership of 22 banks representing IBA in 1946. और Indian Bank Association जो है, it is managed by the managing committee. The current managing committee consists of one chairman. Current managing committee consists of one chairman, 3 deputy chairman, and one honorary secretary with 26 members. तो अगर मैं चेक करूं तो conclusion of the news ये है. This is the entire conclusion of the news. Why it was in news? Sir, it was in news because SBI के चीफ CS शेट्टी को अपॉइंट किया गया as the chairperson of IBA. IBA के चेयरपर्सन कौन अपॉइंट हुए? CS शेट्टी. आउटगोइंग कौन है? MV राव, who is the CEO of Central Bank of India. डिप्टी चेयरमैन की बात करें तो सर 3 नाम है. One is Madhav Nair, then Savroop Kumar Saha, and the last one is A. Mani Mekhalia. If I talk about the honorary secretary, B. Ramesh Babu is the honorary secretary. तो ये कुछ नाम्स है, याद कर लेना. इसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट यही है, फेज 1 में हो सकता है पूछ लिया जाए, वरना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है ये जो IBA का मैंने डेटा दिया है या IBA से रिलेटेड जो डिस्कशन दी है मैंने इन फॉर्म ऑफ PDF, वो आप एक बार प्लीज पढ़ लीजिएगा. ठीक है. चलो, last but not the least, what will be the answer? So the answer to this particular question is CS SETI. The answer to this particular question is CS SETI. So I hope each and every news which we have discussed today is crystal clear, guys. If it is crystal clear, just give me yes, sir. If you have any doubt, you may ask, please. Yes, Subrajyoti Nayak, you can download the PDF. The PDF is available on my Telegram channel. My handle is Madhav Arora. What is the primary reasoning for taking external debt? It is because of low interest rate, balance of payment, lack of capital in India. अभिनव सिंपल है ना यार, अगर हमारे इंपोर्ट बिल्स हमारे एक्सपोर्ट से ज्यादा है, सो इन ऑर्डर टू पे दोज इंपोर्ट बिल्स वी नीड फॉरेन करेंसी. वी कैन नॉट बोरो फ्रॉम इंडिया टू पे इन फॉरेन करेंसी. तो शुरुआत तो वहीं से हुई. ये जो बोरोइंग है इसकी स्टार्टिंग तो वहीं से हुई ना कि आपके इंपोर्ट बिल ज्यादा थे in comparison to your exports. So in order to service your imports, all the nations, they started borrowing. Then over the period of time, if we want the foreign technology to flow in India, again we need the borrowing so that the foreign company can be invited to set up its unit in India. So if we have to pay to the foreign country, we will be paying in foreign currency. So due to the need of foreign currency, this foreign और एक्सटर्नल डेट केम इनटू द पिक्चर. अगर इंडिया डॉलर प्रिंट कर सकता तो एक्सटर्नल डेट का कोई पॉइंट ही नहीं था. आई होप इट्स क्लियर. ओके, सो दैट विल बी ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड, गाइस. Quick revision, those who were not present in the previous session, I'll quickly show you what we have done in the previous session and what level of PDF you always get in this particular session. Still, I would request you, if you have any doubt, any feedback regarding this particular session, I would request you do share your suggestions, feedback in the comment section itself. So in the previous session, we discussed about WMA. As I said, this news has a potential that WMA can be asked in the descriptive format. So we discussed WMA in that manner itself. Then after that, we talked about Pakistan access to extended fund facility. So we discussed what is extended fund facility. Then we talked about SPDs, that is standalone primary dealers. So from the previous session PDF, we can expect two descriptive questions. One is on primary dealers and the other one is on WMA. So don't forget to go through with this PDF at least twice or thrice before going for the examination. It's going to help you a lot. Is it fine, guys? Is it fine? So that will be all from my side in this particular session. We'll catch you all in the upcoming sessions to go. Thank you so much. Good luck. God bless you. Bye-bye. Take care. If you want to download the PDF of this session, guys, the PDF of this session will be available. PDF of this session will be available on this Telegram channel. My handle is Madhav Arora. You can even scan the QR code in order to join my Telegram channel. Bye-bye. Take care. Good luck. God bless you all.